Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. I call to order the 11th meeting of the Commission for Social Development at its 64th session. This morning, the Commission will consider the draft proposals before it. The documentation for this meeting is listed on iGo. I first invite the Commission to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 2 entitled Adoption of the Agenda and Other Organizational Matters in order to take action on draft decision E/CN5/2026/L3 entitled Priority Theme of the 65th Session of the Commission for Social Development, submitted by the Vice Chair, Mr. Stefano Guerra of Portugal, on the basis of informal consultations. I wish to inform the Commission that the draft decision has no program budget implications. Does any delegation wish to make a statement in connection with the draft decision? May I take it that the Commission wishes to adopt draft decision E/CN5/2026/L3 and recommend it to the Economic and Social Council for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. Does any delegation wish to make a statement after the adoption of the draft decision? I see none. I now give the floor to the representative of Paraguay.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd also like to thank the Bureau. I recognize the efforts that they have made to bring these negotiations to a successful conclusion. Paraguay will be making a statement on some of the points. With regard to Agenda 2030 and Sustainable Development, paragraph 74 of 70/1 establishes the SDG agenda, and it stresses the voluntary nature of the follow-up and review processes for the 2030 agenda according to national priorities and frameworks. Paraguay is implementing development plans according to Paraguayan sovereignty, according to our constitutional principles. My delegation would also like to point out that in Paraguay, as stated in a national constitution and under current laws, there is no discrimination of any kind allowed. This lays the basis for genuine equalities, so any definition of gender is relating specifically under our laws to the gender distinction between a man and a woman. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Paraguay, and I now give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Chair. Our delegation wishes to thank the facilitators for the draft resolution we adopted today, and we would like to express our support to the theme as described in the resolution. We would want to make one disassociation from the reference to the right to development in the text. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Israel. The Commission has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 2. I now invite the Commission to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 3 in order to consider draft resolution E/CN5/2026/L5 entitled Social Dimensions of the New Partnership for Africa's Development. I thank the representative of South Africa for having facilitated the consultations on the draft resolution. I wish to inform the Commission that the draft resolution has no program budget implications. I now give the floor to the representative of Uruguay to introduce draft resolution E/CN5/2026/L5 entitled Social Dimensions of the New Partnership for Africa's Development on behalf of the Group of 77 in China.
Madam Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce the draft resolution on the social dimensions of the new Partnership for Africa's Development on behalf of the Group of 77 and China. The G77 and China actively continues to advocate for the fulfillment of the commitments made in the Copenhagen Programme of Action adopted at the World Summit for Social Development. This resolution in the Commission for Social Development is an expression of that commitment as outlined in Commitment 7 of the Copenhagen Declaration. This resolution has always sought to give prominence to accelerating the economic, social, and human resource development of Africa. Madam Chair, we are honored to have the opportunity to present one of the few annual resolutions within the Commission for Social Development. The resolution this year has been updated in a technical manner to reflect the recent Second World Summit for Social Development, as well as recognize previous resolutions on this topic. Importantly, we have continued to update the text to recognize the integration of NEPAD into Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Distinguished delegates, we wish to extend our sincere appreciation to the respective delegations that helped with this update and attended the brief informal that presented this technical update. It is in keeping with this same spirit of collaboration that we invite all member states to co-sponsor the resolution from the floor today. Finally, we wish to express our gratitude for the confidence of the G77 and China to continue to facilitate the Nepal resolution on an annual basis. The G77 and China would like to take this opportunity to express its gratitude to the Bureau and all delegations with special reference to South Africa Permanent Mission for their support and value contributions throughout the duration of the 64th session of the Commission for Social Development. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Uruguay for her statement, and I now give the floor to the Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If any other delegation not a member of the group of 77 and China wishes to co-sponsor the draft resolution, please signify by pressing the microphone button. I see none. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary. Does any delegation wish to make a statement in connection with the draft resolution L5? May I take it that the Commission wishes to adopt draft resolution E/CN5 2026/L5 and recommend it to the Economic and Social Council for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. Does any delegation wish to make a statement after the adoption of the draft resolution? I give the floor to the representative of Turkey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to thank co-facilitators for presenting the resolution, which demonstrates our renewed collective commitment towards promoting Africa's development. LDCs in Africa remain a development cooperation priority for Turkey. Turkey also supports strengthening science, technology, and innovation capacity of LDCs, as well as promoting their structural economic transformation with the assistance of UN Technology Bank for the least developed countries. As 32 out of 44 LDCs are from Africa, enhancing the capacity and effectiveness of the UN Technology Bank is even more crucial for sustainable and inclusive development of Africa. In this regard, we believe that not referring to the UN Technology Bank in this ambitious resolution remains a missed opportunity for promoting the contribution of the international community to Africa's science, technology, and innovation capacity. As a staunch supporter of Africa's development as well as the host country to the UN Technology Bank, Turkey will continue to contributing to the work of the Commission for Social Development with a view to achieve tangible progress towards Africa's sustainable and inclusive development, including strengthening the role of UN Technology Bank to this end.
I thank the representative of Turkey. I now invite the Commission to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 3A on the priority theme in order to take action on draft resolution E/CN5/2026/L4 entitled Advancing Social Development and Social Justice Through Coordinated, Equitable and Inclusive Policies, which I have submitted as the Chair of the Commission and on the basis of informal consultations. I take this opportunity to thank delegations for the spirit of cooperation and flexibility shown during the negotiations. I wish to inform the Commission that the draft resolution has no program budget implications. Does any delegation wish to make a statement in connection with the draft resolution? May I take it that the Commission wishes to adopt draft resolution E/CN5/2026/L4 and recommend it to the Economic and Social Council for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. Does any delegation wish to make a statement after the adoption of the draft resolution? I give the floor to the representative of Iran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Islamic Republic of Iran joined the consensus on the draft resolution entitled Advancing Social Development and Social Justice Through Coordinated, Equitable, and Inclusive Social Policies, and the basis of the understanding reflected in the present explanation of vote. The Islamic Republic of Iran attaches importance to the promotion of social development and social justice, including, inter alia, the eradication of poverty in all its forms, the promotion of full and productive employment and decent work for all, the strengthening of universal and nationally appropriate social protection systems, and the recognition of the family as the fundamental unit of society. Meanwhile, in light of the adverse impacts of unilateral coercive measures, as we call on all member states to condemn such illegitimate and counterproductive measures that impede access to technology and related financing. Iran supports internationally agreed development cooperation and the provision of the adequate, predictable, and sustainable means of implementation for developing countries, consistent with the proposals and principles of the Charter of the United Nations and the right to development. The resolution is understood and will be implemented by the Islamic Republic of Iran in accordance with its constitution, domestic legal framework, and cultural and religious values. Nothing in the resolution may be interpreted as creating new legal obligation, modifying existing obligation, or prejudging matter under consideration in the competent intergovernmental fora. The interpretation and implementation of the resolution remains subject to national sovereignty, domestic legislation, national circumstances and priorities, including internal socio-economic conditions. The Islamic Republic of Iran notes that the certain terms in the resolution, including gender-related and labor-related concepts, are subject to non-consensual interpretation among member states and UN entities. Accordingly, all provisions shall be interpreted and implemented in accordance with the national legal framework and appropriate safeguards, and this position shall be reflected in relevant UN reports and resolutions.
I thank the representative of Iran, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam Chair, the Russian Federation highly values the work that's being done by the Commission on Social Development, which remains a key body entrusted with future activity which comes out of the high-level meeting in the interest of social development in Copenhagen. And the second high-level meeting on social development in Doha, and the 24th special session of the UN General Assembly. We are convinced that the outcome documents of the current sessions will also contribute to the development of the social agenda globally. The Russian Federation does support the passing of the resolution under the topic of the 64th session, but at the same time, we would like to make this a statement of interpretation regarding the terminology used in the document, which does not have an unequivocal international interpretation. Specifically, I am talking about the term gender and its derivatives, which our delegation views as those referring to the biological notion of gender and considers only within the context of ensuring the equality of rights and opportunities for men and women. In particular, the gender social gap for us is a digital gap between women and men, and the gender-oriented, the term gender-oriented, as the term which takes into account the gender needs. In other words, the various needs depending on the pertinence. The health system for us is a healthcare system. We do not support the use of term inequality in plural. I thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation, and I now give the floor to the representative of Switzerland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have the honor to deliver this explanation of position on behalf of Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Mexico, Norway, the United Kingdom, and my own country, Switzerland. We wish to thank the facilitator for her efforts in streamlining the resolution while fostering a constructive negotiation process and reaching a balanced text. However, we deeply regret that the notion of multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination, commonly referred to as MIFD, was not able to be referenced in the final text. MIFD is a well-established concept that has been agreed in numerous UN resolutions and texts, including in last year's CSocD resolution on the priority theme. Multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination should not be controversial or contested language. The concept simply recognizes that discrimination rarely happens on a single ground, but operates along multiple characteristics that intersect and mutually reinforce each other, affecting people's access to dignity, security, enjoyment of equal rights, and long-term prospects. This is an empirical and lived reality. Human beings are not one-dimensional, and neither are the structural barriers they face. Therefore, addressing MIFD is no less than foundational to the elimination of inequalities and the advancement of social development and justice, which is this resolution's priority theme. Ignoring intersecting forms of discrimination in the elaboration and implementation of social policies inevitably, if unintentionally, reproduces biases, hierarchies, and exclusions, providing only partial and selective protection. This omission ultimately hinders social cohesion, development, and justice across contexts. If we want policies to be effective, equitable, targeted, and inclusive, it is imperative to consider how multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination shape everyday experiences and structural disadvantages. We note that in future sessions of the CSocD, it will be essential to reintroduce this concept, including the corresponding agreed language from previous resolutions that remains in force. This is not only pivotal to ensuring the promotion, protection, and full realization of all human rights, but also to advancing social development objectives and the implementation of the Doha Declaration. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Switzerland, and I now give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Chair. Our delegation wishes to thank the facilitators for this draft resolution, and we express our support on the focus of the topic. We would like to disassociate from the term right to development, which is in this resolution. Please, if I can ask Secretariat to disregard my earlier statement today. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Israel, and I now give the floor to the representative of Senegal.
Merci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My delegation would like to thank the facilitators and to say that we are happy with the fact that the family is underscored in the instrument on human rights for social development. We also would like to say that the term gender refers for us to the female and male gender according to the expert of the Fourth World Conference. And my delegation would like to lastly specify that the adoption of this resolution does not the current state of international law and conventions, I think, and customary law. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Senegal, and I now give the floor to the representative of Liberia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, at the outset, the African Group reaffirms its commitment for the full and effective implementation of the Copenhagen Declaration and Program of Action, as well as the Doha Declaration, in line with the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. the group stresses the importance of partnership and cooperation in negotiations, particularly in building a just, inclusive, equitable economic development for all. Fighting inequality is not only a moral obligation, but an imperative to achieve sustainable development. In this regard, all priorities may be heard, but in a balanced manner. Madam Chair, the African Group is disappointed of the outcome of the negotiations on the priority theme of this session. We regret that the final text does not take into account important items that are crucial for promoting African countries' economic development. A deletion of the right to development from the final text weakens the commitment to achieve equity, equality, and shared prosperity, which are grounded in the Copenhagen Declaration and platform for action and the Doha renewed political will, totally defying the attainment of the objectives of the main theme of this session, advancing social development and social justice through coordinated, equitable, and inclusive policies, and the opportunity to achieve the 2030 Agenda and AU 2063 Agenda. Madam Chair, the African Group is convinced that it is time to fight poverty and its manifestations. It is crucial to pursue social inclusion and social cohesion to better deliver on social development goals, facilitate international cooperation to strengthen solidarity and promote trust, to accelerate achievement of the commitments of the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and Program of Action for the World Summit for Social Development. And yet, the transfer of technology and equitable access, particularly in developing countries, have been removed from the text. The African Group appeals for better understanding, constructive engagement, and cooperation in the future negotiations. Madam Chair, the group is convinced that reaffirming the Rio Declaration strengthens the architecture to support international actions for sustainable development, thus enhancing accountability and ensuring the future we want. The group is surprised of its removal from the text while clearly visible in Doha Declaration. This weakens the balance of the adopted text, inclusivity and consensus achieved in Rio against the backdrop of reducing poverty, creating jobs, prioritizing sustainable development. Distinguished delegates, Madam Chair, in concluding, the African Group remains committed for the genuine implementation of the Copenhagen Declaration and the Program of Action, together with the Doha Declaration in line with the Addis Ababa Action for a Better and Just World. I thank you, Madam Chair.
I thank the representative of Liberia on behalf of the African Group, and I now give the floor to the representative of Mali.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to greet the leadership. We agree with the statement delivered by Liberia on behalf of the African Group, and we recognize social development as an absolute condition for the society, and the role of the family remains undeniable. It also helps to contribute to sustainable development. So social development must include just and inclusive plans and programs. With regard to the resolution adopted and any other document, my delegation would like to state that any term that is not internationally agreed does not bind my country, Mali, and the term gender refers to biological identity, and any issue of equality refers to men and women. Finally, international cooperation in no way alters the sovereignty of states and their implementation of plans and programs with regard to the effective implementation of social development programs. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Mali, and I now give the floor to the representative of Holy See.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Holy See would like to thank you for your leadership during this commission and express our appreciation to you as well as your team for facilitating the consultations on the resolution on the priority theme. The Holy See is particularly grateful for the approach which you took to the text. The decision to present a new text rather than update the previous resolution was quite courageous. However, it enabled a discussion more focused on the priority theme, resulting in a text which is relevant, practical, and workable. The resolution offers a positive example on what can be achieved when contentious issues are set aside, compromises are crafted, and the theme is centered in the text. We appreciate also the spirit of collaboration among delegations, which made this possible. It is to be hoped that the same approach and spirit will be emulated in other processes. The Holy See welcomes that the text also reflects the human beings which are at the heart of these policies. This includes a recognition of the unique and important role of the family, including as a contributor to the social development, and the need for family-oriented policies and social protection schemes. My delegation also appreciates the recognition of the essential role of international cooperation and financing in strengthening the capacity of developing countries to achieve poverty eradication. Madam Chair, in conformity with its nature and particular mission, the Holy See, as an observer state, is obliged to make the following reservation on the text adopted. The Holy See understands the term gender as grounded in biological sexual identity, male or female. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I thank the representative of the Holy See, and I see no further request for the floor. The Commission has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 3 as a whole. I now invite the Commission to turn its attention to Agenda Item 5, entitled Provisional Agenda of the 65th Session of the Commission. The draft provisional agenda and documentation for the 65th session of the Commission are contained in document E/CN5/2026/L1. Are there any comments on the draft provisional agenda as contained in document L1? May I take it that the Commission wishes to adopt the draft provisional agenda and documentation for its 65th session as contained in document L1? I hear no objection. It is so decided. The Commission has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 5. I now invite the Commission to consider Agenda Item 6, entitled Adoption of the Report of the Commission on its 64th session. And I am pleased to give the floor to our distinguished Vice Chair, cum Rapporteur, Ms. Tursun Bubu-Chutonova of Kyrgyzstan, to introduce the draft report as contained in document E/CN5/2026/L2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is an honor for me to present to you the draft report of the Commission for Social Development at its 64th session. In this regard, the Commission has before it document E/CN5/2026/L2, which contains an account of the organizational part of our session. The final report will also reflect the action taken by the Commission under each agenda item, including website links to the draft resolutions as adopted by the Commission today. With respect to Section B on attendance of document E/CN5/2026/L2, I would like to recall that the official list of delegations of the session will be issued as document E/CN5/2026/INF/1. The provisional list of participants was circulated through the e-delegate portal yesterday, February 9th. I would request delegations to kindly review the information contained in the list of participants and to submit through the e-delegate portal or to the Secretariat any necessary changes no later than Tuesday, February 17th. I would also like to take this opportunity to remind delegations that have not yet done so to submit through e-delegate portal also no later than February 17th the names of their delegates to the session to include them in the final list. Before concluding, I would like to express on behalf of the Bureau of the Commission our profound appreciation to all facilitators and negotiators for their efforts, constructive engagement, and flexibility in the negotiations of our draft outcomes. Allow me to also express my gratitude to my colleagues from the Bureau and the Secretariat, who under the judicious leadership of Her Excellency Christina Hayovshin and her team delivered a relevant set of debates and decisions on strengthening solidarity, social inclusion, and social cohesion. With that, Madam Chair, I commend this draft report to the Commission for its adoption. I thank you.
I thank the rapporteur for her statement. Are there any comments on the draft report? May I take it that the Commission wishes to adopt the draft report as contained in document L2 and agrees to entrust the rapporteur with its finalization with the support of the Secretariat, including to incorporate the proceedings of our final meeting today? I hear no objections. It is so decided. The Commission has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 6. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, allow me to make few remarks in my capacity as chair of the 64th session of the Commission for Social Development. As we come to the close of the 64th session of the Commission, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all delegations, panelists, and stakeholders for the depths of engagement, the diversity of perspectives, as well as constructive spirit that have characterized our discussions over the past days. This session has taken place at a pivotal moment. Building on the outcomes of the Second World Summit for Social Development in Doha, our deliberations have reaffirmed that social development and social justice are central pillars of sustainable development, peace, and human dignity. The strong and consistent references made by delegations to the Copenhagen Declaration and the Doha Political Declaration underscore a shared recognition that our collective commitments remain valid and that the real task ahead of us is effective implementation. Throughout the session, a clear message has emerged. Fragmented approaches are no longer sufficient to address the complex and interconnected challenges facing our societies. Delegations have repeatedly underscored the importance of coordinated, equitable, and inclusive policies grounded in whole-of-government and whole-of-society approaches to translate global commitments into tangible outcomes at the national and local levels. Our discussions have highlighted the importance of social protection systems, decent work, and inclusive labor markets in reducing poverty and inequality, as well as the need to strengthen institutional capacity and policy coherence. Many delegations have emphasized that social developments must be understood across the life course, with particular attention to persons in vulnerable situations, including children and youth, older persons, persons with disabilities, migrants, and displaced populations. The focus on emerging issues, notably the role of resilient care and support systems, has further enriched our work. These discussions have underscored that care is not only a social necessity, but also a critical enabler of participation, dignity, and inclusive growth. Recognizing care as a shared responsibility supported by adequate public policies, financing, and services is key to building resilient and just societies. At the same time, delegations have been clear that ambition must be matched by means of implementation. The constraints posed by limited fiscal space, debt burdens, as well as external shocks and extraordinary challenges, including armed conflicts, that put pressure on social systems and test resilience at all levels, were repeatedly raised alongside calls for strengthened international cooperation, adequate financing for social investment, and a more coherent and responsive multilateral system. These concerns remind us that translating commitments into action will require sustained political will, predictable support, and effective partnerships at all levels. I would like to take a moment to underscore the indispensable role of the civil society. The ideas, recommendations, and partnerships contributed by civil society throughout this session will continue to shape national policies and influence global action far beyond our discussions here. I am encouraged by the broad consensus expressed on the Commission's central role in the follow-up and review of the outcomes of the World Summit for Social Development. The decisions taken during this session, including on the program of work and the priority theme for the next session, provide a solid foundation for advancing this mandate and ensuring continuity in our collective efforts. Before concluding, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to each and every member of the Bureau and all delegates whose dedication and professionalism have made this session possible. Thanks also to the Secretariat offices who provided us with substantive and logistical support. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to return to a point I made in my opening statement. As long as even one society or one country is left behind with injustice, none of us can credibly claim to have achieved our goals. The challenges faced by any single country are a shared responsibility. We must respond collectively, decisively, and persistently. As we leave the session, the responsibility now lies with all of us to ensure that the commitments we have reaffirmed are translated into concrete action, guided by cooperation, solidarity, and a shared sense of purpose. Let the momentum we have built here carry forward, ensuring no one is left behind and turning the ambitions of the Second World Summit for Social Development into tangible improvements in the lives of families and communities around the world. It was an honor to chair the 64th session of the Commission for Social Development, and I look forward to our continued collaboration in the months ahead. Thank you. I kindly ask delegations to remain seated as the first meeting of the 65th session will be convened immediately following the closure of this session. I now declare closed the 64th session of the Commission for Social Development. The meeting is adjourned. I declare open the 65th session of the Commission for Social Development and call to order its first meeting. In accordance with Rule 15 of the Rules of Procedure of the Functional Commissions of the Economic and Social Council and Decision 2002/210 of the Council, the Commission immediately following the closure of a regular session would hold the first meeting of its subsequent regular session for the sole purpose of electing the new chair and other members of the Bureau. I invite the Commission to turn its attention to item 1 of its provisional agenda, election of officers, and proceed with the election of the Bureau of the Commission. The Commission may wish to recall that in accordance with the principle of equitable geographical rotation among the 5 regional groups, it is the turn of the group of Western European and other states to hold the chairpersonship of the 65th session. I understand that the chair of the group of Western European and other states has endorsed the candidature of Mr. Stefano Guerra, Counselor at the Permanent Mission of Portugal, as chair of the 65th session of the Commission. In the absence of any other nominations, may I take it that the Commission wishes to elect by acclamation Mr. Stefano Guerra as chair of the 65th session of the Commission for Social Development. I hear no objections. It is so decided. It is my pleasure to declare Mr. Stefano Guerra of Portugal as chair of the 65th session of the Commission for Social Development and invite him to make a statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am honored to be entrusted with the role of chair of the next session of the Commission for Social Development. I am fully committed to making sure that the 75th session is as successful as the one we just concluded. In this regard, I express my appreciation to and commend Her Excellency Kristina Jovisin, Deputy Permanent Representative of Ukraine, along with the current Bureau, in which I had the honor to serve as Vice Chair. I also extend my gratitude to the Secretariat and all who contributed to the outstanding achievements of the 64th session. The Commission for Social Development is of particular importance to Portugal, as it provides a central multilateral platform to advance inclusive social policies that directly align with our national priorities and commitments. Through the Commission, we've been contributing to and benefiting from global dialogue on poverty eradication, social inclusion, aging, disability, decent work, and the reduction of inequalities, all changes that remain highly relevant to our societies. Being actively engaged in the Commission reinforces our strong commitment to multilateralism and the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I am particularly pleased that the Commission adopted the theme for the next session, strengthening social development through intergenerational approaches for achieving sustainable development and implementation of the Copenhagen and Doha commitments towards 2030 and beyond, a theme that reaffirms our shared commitment to social development and to bring forward the commitments made in Copenhagen and most recently in Doha. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Stefano Guerra, chair of the 65th session of the Commission for Social Development, for his statement. Apologies. With regard to the vice chairs, I have been informed that the Asia-Pacific Group has nominated Mr. Abbas Tajik, counselor at the Permanent Mission of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and the Permanent Mission of Azerbaijan has communicated the candidature of Mr. Shahryar Khajiev for Secretary of the Mission as Vice Chairs of the Commission for its 65th session. In the absence of any other nominations, may I take it that the Commission wishes to elect by acclamation Mr. Abbas Tajik of the Islamic Republic of Iran and Mr. Shahryar Khajiev of Azerbaijan as Vice Chairs of the 65th session of the Commission for Social Development. I hear no objection. It is so decided. On behalf of the Commission, I would like to congratulate the elected members of the Bureau. The Commission will postpone the elections of the remaining members of the Bureau from the Group of African States and the Group of Latin America and Caribbean States to a later date, on the understanding that upon nomination by the regional groups for membership, the nominated members of the Commission would be allowed to participate fully in the Bureau meetings in preparation for the Commission's 65th session. The first meeting of the 65th session of the Commission is hereby adjourned.